You can do everything right during the day. Hit the gym, eat enough protein, stay active. But if you're over 40 and not doing this one thing before bed, your muscle might still be disappearing. And here's the surprising part. It's not just about how much you move. It's about how well you recover, specifically how your body uses the nighttime window to preserve and rebuild muscle. After age 40, the rules change. Your body naturally produces less anabolic hormone, experiences more inflammation, and has a harder time synthesizing muscle protein, especially during sleep. And yet, sleep is when nearly all of your muscle repair and growth actually happens. What's happening in your brain and body after dark isn't passive. It's not just rest. It's a coordinated neurochemical and hormonal process, one that either builds you back stronger or quietly breaks you down. Let's put this in perspective. From your mid-40s onward, you lose up to 1% of your muscle mass per year, a condition known as sarcopenia. And while that may sound like just a physique problem, it's much deeper. Less muscle means slower metabolism, reduced mobility, higher injury risk, even poorer glucose regulation and cognitive performance. But here's the empowering truth. This muscle loss isn't inevitable. You can interrupt it. You can retrain your physiology to preserve and even build muscle while you sleep. You just need to know how to cue your brain and body the right way before bed. In this episode, we're going to break down 6 powerful, science-backed strategies that help you defend your muscle mass as you age. Starting with something simple you can do in the last hour before you fall asleep. You'll learn what specific foods actually stimulate muscle repair, or how timing your last meal can either boost or block your recovery. Which nightly behaviors are silently sabotaging your hormones. Why muscle is a neurological issue, not just a physical one. What to stop doing before bed that might be accelerating muscle breakdown, and a nightly ritual that can trigger greater anabolic recovery while you sleep. These aren't vague tips, they're grounded in neuroscience, endocrinology, and behavioral psychology. And they work, not just for elite athletes, but for anyone over 40 who wants to stay strong, resilient, and fully alive for decades to come. So if you're ready to outsmart the slow decline and make your nights work for your health, let's dive in. Eat slow digesting protein before bed to stimulate overnight muscle synthesis. If you're over 40, your body becomes less efficient at turning dietary protein into muscle tissue, a phenomenon called anabolic resistance. And that's where pre-sleep nutrition becomes a powerful tool. And you're not just feeding your body, you're feeding your overnight recovery machinery. Let's start with the science. A landmark study published in Medicine and Science in Sports and Exercise found that consuming 40 grams of casein protein about 30 minutes before sleep significantly increased overnight muscle protein synthesis in older adults. Another study in the Journal of Nutrition showed that this effect was especially pronounced in people over 50, whose baseline synthesis rates were lower. Why casein? It's a slow digesting protein, meaning it releases amino acids gradually over 6-8 hours, perfectly timed to fuel your body during sleep when most muscle repair happens. Think of it like this. If whey protein is a match that burns bright and fast, casein is a candle, steady, sustained, and long-lasting. And that steady stream of amino acids helps prevent the muscle breakdown that would otherwise accelerate during an overnight fast. Here's what's happening in your brain when this occurs. During deep sleep, your body releases growth hormone, which acts like a conductor for muscle repair. But for this hormone to do its job, it needs building blocks, amino acids. Without them, your body may actually catabolize muscle tissue for energy, especially if you're slightly underfed or highly active. A simple tool to apply is this. About 30-60 minutes before bed, consume 30-40 grams of casein. You can get this from cottage cheese, one of the highest food sources of casein. Casein protein powder mixed with water or almond milk, or a blend of Greek yogurt with some nut butter for added satiety. And if you're lactose sensitive, look for micellar casein isolate. It's low in lactose, but high in bioavailable protein. You might be wondering, won't eating before bed make me gain fat? Not if you get the timing and quantity right. Research in obesity, 2015, found that consuming a protein-rich snack before bed did not impair fat metabolism and actually improved next morning metabolism and satiety, particularly in active adults and older individuals. The key is to avoid pairing it with excess carbs or fats. You want protein only or protein with just a small amount of healthy fat to slow digestion. Now here's a performance coaching insight. Make it a ritual, not just a snack. The act of preparing this small meal signals to your brain that sleep and recovery are coming. It becomes a neural cue, reducing decision fatigue, anchoring your routine, and priming your parasympathetic nervous system. So if you're over 40 and looking to preserve strength, metabolism, and physical resilience, don't just focus on training harder. Support your body's natural nighttime recovery with the right fuel at the right time. Avoid late night carbs and alcohol that disrupt growth hormone pulses. You've probably heard of growth hormone, but what most people don't realize is that your biggest natural surge of it happens shortly after you fall asleep. And if you're over 40, this surge becomes even more critical because growth hormone helps preserve lean muscle, mobilize fat, and accelerate tissue repair. But here's the problem. One common nighttime habit is quietly blocking it. Research published in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism shows that consuming simple carbohydrates or alcohol within 2 hours of sleep can blunt growth hormone secretion by up to 70%. That's massive. Why? Because both carbs and alcohol increase blood glucose and insulin. And elevated insulin inhibits the release of growth hormone from the pituitary gland. Essentially, you're sending your body a mixed signal. Digest and store energy at the exact moment it's trying to enter a rebuild and repair state. What's happening in your brain during this time is important. The hypothalamus and pituitary gland coordinate a precise neuroendocrine dance to release growth hormone within the first 60-90 minutes of deep sleep. This is when your brain is in slow wave sleep, a phase critical for muscle repair, memory consolidation, and immune function. But if insulin is elevated because of that bowl of ice cream or that glass of wine, the pituitary pulls back. The anabolic signal is dampened, and what could have been a night of renewal becomes a night of stagnation, or worse, slow decline. Let's get practical. A simple tool to apply is this. Avoid high-carb meals and alcohol within 2 hours of bedtime. If you do consume carbs, front-load them earlier in the day when your body's more insulin sensitive and metabolically active. If you drink alcohol, limit it to a single drink and finish it at least 3-4 hours before sleep. There's also evidence that tryptophan-rich foods like turkey, pumpkin seeds, or oats earlier in the evening can support melatonin and serotonin synthesis, helping you fall asleep without triggering the same insulin spike. This is where behavioral psychology comes into play. Well, ask yourself, is my nighttime eating about hunger or about habit? Often evening snacking is driven by stress, boredom, or reward seeking. And understanding that, pausing to reflect gives you the power to break the loop. So here's a performance mindset shift. Protect the growth hormone window. Treat that first 90 minutes of sleep like a sacred physiological event because for your muscle, metabolism, and longevity, it is. If this insight is helping you, consider subscribing. This channel is all about practical neuroscience, tools to strengthen your mind, body, and life, grounded in real research, not trends. In the next section, we'll dive into a completely different angle, how your nervous system and light exposure influence muscle retention. Because believe it or not, preserving strength isn't just about muscles, it's about your brain. Muscle is neurological. How evening light and stress affect muscle maintenance. Most people think of muscle as just tissue, fibers, fuel, and movement. But the truth is, muscle is deeply neurological. It's not just built in the gym or broken down by age. It's maintained or lost based on how your nervous system communicates with your body. And here's the overlooked piece, that communication can be disrupted by something as subtle as blue light exposure after sunset, or going to bed in a stressed, overactivated state. Let's unpack this. Your nervous system exists in two main modes: sympathetic, which is alert, mobilized, catabolic, it breaks things down for energy; parasympathetic, which is calm, restorative, anabolic, it builds things up. Muscle growth and maintenance require parasympathetic dominance, especially at night. That's when your brain and body should shift into a mode that favors hormone regulation, tissue repair, and protein synthesis. But if you're exposed to bright artificial light, especially blue light from screens or LED, and when melatonin is delayed, your sleep onset is delayed, which delays the growth hormone surge, and your whole system stays in a more catabolic, muscle wasting state. Here's what the research shows. A study in the Journal of Pineal Research found that exposure to blue-enriched light after 9 p.m. suppressed melatonin by over 85%, even in healthy young adults. In older adults whose melatonin is already lower, this effect is amplified. Add stress to the equation, work emails late at night, doom scrolling, overthinking, and you compound the problem. Elevated cortisol in the evening not only disrupts sleep quality, but it antagonizes testosterone and growth hormone, two key anabolic hormones. So here's a simple protocol. Dim your lights after 8:30 p.m., use warm bulbs or red light if possible, install blue light filters on your devices, or wear blue blocking glasses if you must use screens. Establish a parasympathetic transition ritual. 20-30 minutes before bed, do something that cues your nervous system to downshift, like light stretching, breath work, or journaling. One powerful tool: try 6 cycles of 4-7-8 breathing. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 7 seconds, exhale slowly for 8 seconds. This activates the vagus nerve, which directly signals the brain to enter a calmer anabolic state. Let's zoom out. When your nervous system is chronically in fight or flight, your body interprets muscle as an expendable resource. It prioritizes short-term survival over long-term strength. But when you consistently shift into rest and recover mode before sleep, you send a different message. This body is safe, strong, and worth rebuilding. So the next time you're tempted to answer one more message or binge watch one more episode, ask yourself, is this worth the cost to my muscle, my hormones, and my health tomorrow? Protecting your nervous system at night is one of the most overlooked tools for maintaining physical strength as you age. And best of all, it's free. Your circadian rhythm controls more than sleep. It drives muscle recovery timing. We often think of circadian rhythms as just sleep-wake cycles. But in reality, your entire body, every organ, every cell is running on a 24-hour biological clock, and that includes your muscles. What's surprising is how tightly your muscle recovery and protein synthesis are timed to your internal circadian rhythm, and how easily they can be thrown off is what the research shows. A 2017 study published in Cell Reports found that skeletal muscle has its own peripheral clock genes, meaning your muscles themselves are on a circadian schedule independent of your brain. These genes regulate protein turnover, mitochondrial function, and responsiveness to exercise. And when your sleep is misaligned, those genes get out of sync, impairing recovery and accelerating muscle loss. In fact, a review in Frontiers in Physiology showed that circadian disruption, like late night eating, shift work, or chronic social jet lag, can reduce muscle protein synthesis by up to 30%. 30%, that's like aging your muscle a decade faster just by mistiming your day. Why does this happen? Your body is designed for predictable rhythms. Light in the morning, food in the day, rest at night. When you stay up late, eat at 11 p.m. or scroll in bed until 1 a.m., your brain gets the signal it's still daytime. That delays melatonin, suppresses deep sleep, and flattens the anabolic hormone wave, growth hormone, testosterone, IGF-1, that should peak during early sleep cycles. Here's a simple circadian supporting protocol. Wake up at the same time every day, even on weekends. Light in the morning anchors your rhythm. Get 5-10 minutes of natural light exposure within 30 minutes of waking, even through cloud cover. Eat your last meal at least 2-3 hours before bed so your digestive system isn't competing with your recovery systems. Now, here's the empowering insight. Even if your schedule has been chaotic for years, you can reset your rhythm within 7-10 days with consistent light exposure and fixed wake times. Your body wants to be in sync. It's wired for it. And if you've ever felt groggy in the morning, even after 8 hours of sleep, this might be why. It's not just about how long you sleep. It's about when you sleep. Deep muscle repair happens most efficiently when your sleep is aligned with your circadian nadir, usually between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. If this kind of science-backed, practical insight speaks to you, consider subscribing. This channel is all about equipping you with tools that actually work, grounded in research and built for real life. Next up, we'll dive into something very actionable: how to avoid the two biggest nighttime nutrition mistakes that either starve your muscles or shut down your hormones. Avoid these two nighttime nutrition mistakes that starve your muscles or shut down your hormones. By the time you're over 40, your body becomes much more sensitive to what you don't do, especially when it comes to muscle preservation. And nowhere is this more true than with your nighttime nutrition habits. Let's talk about two of the most common mistakes that quietly sabotage muscle recovery overnight. Mistake 1, fasting too long before bed or going to sleep slightly hungry. Intermittent fasting can be a powerful tool, but timing is everything. If your last meal is too early, say 5 o'clock p.m., and you don't eat again until 9 o'clock a.m. the next morning, you've gone 16 hours without amino acids. That's a long time for a body that's already dealing with age declines in muscle protein synthesis, MPS. Here's what the research shows. A 2022 study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that adults over 50 experience blunted MPS overnight, unless provided with pre-sleep protein intake, especially casein, a slow digesting protein. Without this supply of amino acids, the body begins to break down muscle to meet metabolic needs. What's happening biologically is this. Your muscle tissue becomes a source of fuel when dietary amino acids are insufficient, particularly during overnight fasts. This is known as a catabolic state, and it's more pronounced in older adults because of something called anabolic resistance, a reduced ability to turn protein into muscle. Mistake 2, eating a high-carb, low-protein snack before bed. This is the flip side. Many people reach for something like cereal, toast, fruit, or crackers before bed, believing it's light or helps with sleep. But these options are low in protein, high in insulin response, and offer no support for overnight muscle repair. High carb, low protein snacks spike blood sugar and insulin just before your body is trying to enter deep growth hormone driven recovery mode. And as mentioned earlier, insulin suppresses growth hormone. So even though the snack feels harmless, you're actually reducing your body's ability to mobilize fat and rebuild tissue. Here's a powerful protocol instead. Pre-sleep muscle maintenance protocol 36. Muscle maintenance before bed. Consume a light protein dominant snack containing 30-40 grams of casein protein or a blend of casein and whey. Good options include 1 cup low-fat cottage cheese plus 1 TPA plus T almond butter, casein protein shake, unsweetened, Greek yogurt, unsweetened with chia seeds. Add a small amount of healthy fat, e.g. almond butter, flaxseed, or MCT oil to slow digestion and provide stable energy overnight. This ensures your body has steady amino acid availability through the night, reducing catabolism and supporting net protein balance, which is key to maintaining or even building lean mass while you sleep. And one psychological tool to remember: you don't need to be afraid of eating before bed, as long as it's the right kind of fuel. This isn't about eating light at night. It's about eating intelligently, giving your body what it actually needs to heal, restore, and grow. Deep sleep is where muscle is preserved, but only if you protect it. If there's one non-negotiable for keeping your muscle as you age, it's this: you don't build muscle in the gym. You build it in your sleep. More specifically, in deep sleep, also known as slow wave sleep, the stage where your body ramps up repair, restoration, and the release of key anabolic hormones. Let's look at what happens during this phase. When you enter deep sleep, typically in the first half of the night, your pituitary gland secretes growth hormone impulses, which stimulates muscle protein synthesis, fat metabolism, and tissue repair. It also lowers cortisol, enhances insulin sensitivity, and promotes the release of IGF-1, insulin-like growth factor 1, a critical muscle-preserving hormone. But here's the challenge. As you age, especially after 40, deep sleep duration and intensity decline, often by as much as 40-60%. That means fewer anabolic hormone surges and weaker muscle repair, even if you're training hard and eating well. So the question becomes, how do you protect and enhance deep sleep to safeguard your muscle? Here's what the research and neuroscience say. A 2021 meta-analysis in Sleep Medicine Reviews confirmed that even small disruptions like noise, temperature spikes, or inconsistent bedtimes significantly impair slow wave sleep. And another study from the University of Birmingham found that older adults who improved their sleep consistency over just 10 days showed measurable increases in muscle recovery markers, including elevated testosterone and lower markers of muscle breakdown, like creatine kinase. Here's a simple science-based protocol to optimize deep sleep for muscle preservation. The 3-part deep sleep optimization routine: set a consistent sleep window, go to bed and wake up at the same time every day within a 30-minute range. Aim for 7.5 to 8 hours in bed. This helps anchor your circadian rhythm, which amplifies deep sleep efficiency. Lower core body temperature. Deep sleep onset is triggered by a drop in core body temperature. Try taking a hot shower 60-90 minutes before bed. The contrast effect causes a cooling of the body post-shower, which accelerates sleep onset. Keep your room cool around 65. DEGF 18 DEGC is ideal. Use a wind-down sequence that cues the brain at least 30 minutes before bed. Disconnect from work, screens, and decision-making. Do a calming ritual, like stretching, a fiction book, or low-tempo music. Try magnesium glycinate, TILD 200-400 mils, which supports GABAergic signaling, helping the brain downshift into deeper, more restorative sleep. What's happening in your brain when you do this? By creating neuro associations between your environment and sleep, you condition your brain to recognize this is the time for recovery. You activate your parasympathetic nervous system, reduce sleep latency, how long it takes to fall asleep, and increase the density of slow wave sleep, which is where muscle is truly maintained. So if you're over 40, trying to preserve strength, and you're only focusing on exercise and protein, but neglecting your deep sleep architecture, you're leaving a massive part of the equation untapped. And the best part, unlike training, which taxes your body, deep sleep restores it. No weights, no cardio, just smart science-backed routines that tell your body, grow, repair, rebuild. You don't lose muscle because you're aging. You lose it because you're missing the signals your body still needs. Let's bring this full circle. If you're over 40, you've probably noticed it's easier to lose muscle and harder to gain it. But what most people don't realize is that this decline is not inevitable. It's largely preventable. The real issue isn't your age. It's your biology waiting for the right cues. Throughout this episode, we've explored 6 powerful science-backed levers that can help you hold onto your muscle and even grow it while you sleep. Let's recap. Muscle loss accelerates after 40 due to anabolic resistance, but the right nighttime habits can counteract it. Sleep is the anabolic window, not just rest. Deep sleep releases growth hormone and IGF-1, but only if protected. Casein protein before bed feeds your muscles slowly overnight, helping reverse catabolism and preserve lean mass. Your circadian rhythm regulates muscle repair, and consistent light exposure plus meal timing keeps it optimized. Avoiding common mistakes like going to bed hungry or eating high-carb snacks can stop the silent breakdown of muscle. Deep sleep is where all the recovery happens, and with the right protocol, you can enhance it significantly. Here's the why behind all this. Muscle isn't just about looking good or lifting more. It's your metabolic engine. It stabilizes your blood sugar. It protects your joints. It keeps your brain sharp by producing myokines, molecules that support cognitive health and mood. It's one of the greatest predictors of longevity, independence, and vitality as you age. So if there's one challenge I want you to take away from this episode, it's this. Tonight, try the pre-sleep muscle maintenance protocol. About an hour before bed, have 30 to 40 grams of casein or a slow digesting protein like cottage cheese, Greek yogurt, or a casein shake. Then shut off screens 30 minutes before bed, cool your room, and let your nervous system downshift. You'll be telling your body, it's time to grow, not decay. And here's the deeper message. Every night is an opportunity. Your sleep isn't passive. It's the most powerful muscle-preserving ritual you have. And with a few small shifts, you can turn it into a nightly advantage. If this helped reframe how you think about sleep, muscle, and aging, and you want more grounded, science-backed protocols like this, I invite you to subscribe, like, and leave a comment below. What change will you make tonight to protect your muscle? This channel exists to bring you real tools that work, not gimmicks. Because when you understand how your body actually works, you can finally work with it, not against it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.